Warning, this episode contains graphic language, impromptu public speaking, horrific witch babies, and as always, teen angst. Also, there will be spoilers for chapters 14 through 19 of Brisingr, Book 3 of the Inherent Cycle by Christopher Paolini. Listen at your own risk.
Is this a podcast, or is this just fantasy? We're just two nerds and we love our fantasy. So join us if you want to nerd out. Time to start the podcast and see. Anyway, here's the show.
I'm Dane Patterson, the host who also can't stop thinking that he needs a new sword. I have so much room on my shelves, on the walls of my house. I just have this inkling that I need a sword.
And I'm Jacqui Lanier, and is this a podcast or is this just fantasy? The podcast where the witch babies are creepy and the heroes are terrified of public speaking, but at least the hometown surprise parties are lit.
Hell yeah.
That helps.
Yeah.
Good consolation prize.
If you'd like to support us on Patreon, there is a link in the show notes. If you can't or just don't want to, we totally understand. And just ask that you please rate us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast.
Yes, and as always, visit us at isthisjustfantasypod.com. It's the website where you can buy our cool fantasy-themed tumblers and sweatshirts and dad hats. Both Dane and my boyfriend wear the merch willingly on the regular, so you know it's cool.
And we are well-known fashionistas.
Famously cool guys, both of those dudes.
I think you guys haven't even seen my fashion like social media. Kind of an influencer.
Yes, same with Ben, a man whose clothes I exclusively buy.
the guy who's like, yeah, I'll wear that, I guess.
He's a good sport. We love him. But before we get to maybe the most wholesome scene in this entire series of books, I want to start with a quick recap of what we covered in our last episode. So we started with Eragon, just a teen wizard alone on the run, evading troops on the road and thorn in the skies. His journey, though, is somewhat less than cheery, picking up rumors about Murtag's light descent, having PTSD nightmares, and needing to spend a night in what passes for civilization in a small backwoods village. So just all around, a couple bad things there.
Going well.
Yes. There he ruminates on the dangers of public alcoholism in a patriarchy and runs into Arya. So we know it's going to be a party. They naturally argue about all of Eragon's choices before spending a cringy night in the same hotel room. As they continue toward the Varden the next morning, they check in with Queen President, and Eragon gets to see Saphira. So bright spots, mixed bag, I would say,
it's
on the road so far.
Bag.
Smash cut over to Roran, who's basically just being a hunk. I don't think we really need to go over anything else in his plotline, do we? Just
I got it.
The hunkiness.
We should all just close our eyes.
Yes, you're welcome, dear listener.
Should we take a moment of silence?
I mean, I guess it might be important to mention that Neswata assigns him to an elite search and destroy force commanded by the impeccably named Martland Redbeard.
Very cool.
Roran's new boss will assess his readiness for middle management so he can get on the executive track. Roran asks for a deployment delay, though, to have his wedding, and reveals his big secret to Neswata that he's already knocked Katrina up.
I love that he's already asking for like PTO and paternity leave, maternity leave.
I think it's important for in any company for our leaders to lead by example, you know?
It's so true.
They need to set the standard for their employees that it's okay to use your time off.
And yet another move, Neswata is cooler and cooler.
Yes, exactly. She totally allows him to do this, and she also offers to give Katrina a dowry, which is dope. We love to see a rag to riches tale.
Yes.
Then we shift gears to Neswata's POV as she greets the elves who have arrived to be Eragon's bodyguard, and leading this crack team of spellcasters is Bloodgarm, an elven man who has literally made himself a sex panther. I can't make this up.
Nope.
Only the creepy witch baby is able to help Queen President resist the call of Bloodgarm's intoxicating musk. So let's hope this isn't the thing that derails the entire war. We do not need our girl boss to get caught up in like a Hallmark movie plot and learn the meaning of Christmas. Like, we have an empire to defeat.
Bloodgarm's actually Santa.
I know. Well, I mean, probably about the same level of unexplained lore.
Yeah, whimsy and lore.
Santa. But we wrapped up last episode back with Eragon and Arya on the road. Our travelers get in a wild dust-up with an Imperial patrol after learning that Gal soldiers are now ancient language oath-bound to serve in this army. It sucks.
Yeah.
Eragon and Arya straight up massacre an entire squadron with their bare hands, with Eragon strangling the last young soldier, which really isn't good for his PTSD. It's
No.
not
I think he has a
helping.
nightmare immediately afterwards.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So seeing Eragon struggle with his conscience actually brings Arya around a little on like just being nice to him. And a lot of their journey after this seems less tense for a change. So in the longest chapter ever that you very expertly recapped, Dane.
Thank you.
So I'm sure you're glad I'm about to explain it to you again.
Yes, can't wait.
Eragon mods out his knuckles to protect his little handsies. They have a light discussion about the nature of Urgles and racism. Arya keeps those fun vibes going, opening up about her prison torture, which actually does end on a nice bonding moment. And don't worry, I'm not done with that chapter yet.
No.
Eragon learns that his ring, Arryn, is full to the brim with decades worth of Brom's stored energy. Arya teaches us about the Forsworn's dragons and the banishing of the names. Arya and Eragon both do nature-centric arts and crafts. And finally, they have a mystical encounter with roaming spirits in which Arya tells the spirits that Eragon is their bro because he freed the spirits trapped inside Durza. That was it. Just a couple quick
It was a light
things.
It was a light
in
go
that
through.
one last chapter.
It was such a weird section of chapters where like a lot of things were packed in there that we had to talk about, because if we didn't, people would be like, well, what about the spirits? You know what I mean?
I
Like,
mean, also, they're cool.
I mean, it was cool. I was just like, what a weird collection of things to happen.
Yes, it was. That very last chapter was all over the place. Other than that, like the section kind of followed a reasonable
A little bit, a clip, if you will. It's funny. I was thinking about this. Arya, of course, only shows that she likes him when he's like sad.
Well,
He was injured, and she was like, "Good, I like that."
which again is one of
I'm
those
just
things
kidding.
that I'm like, no. I'm like, for as much as you love Murtagh because he's emo,
Well, that's just the
I'm
thing.
surprised that this doesn't draw you in
Well,
about Arya.
Like I said at the end of the episode, and then when we left the recording, I was like, you know what? I do like Arya more in these chapters. I'm just an injured person. Well, we're not going to unpack that because we got to go to chapter 14 amid the restless crowd.
Hard pivot.
Yeah,
Hard
I'm
pivot.
not going to dwell on that at all. Here we go. We start this section of chapters up with Arya and Eragon
who
making
else?
it back home.
Making their way.
Yeah, right. Hey, the road trip from hell is finally over.
Yes.
Eragon's first call of action is to call Saphira, and it's a cute reunion.
Yes.
They miss each other.
Yes.
Saphira laments that he gets in trouble when she isn't around, and she doesn't have anything exciting happen unless she wants it to. She's also pissed at him for springing the whole Sloane situation on her, and fair. It was shitty.
I was a little dicey there for a minute.
Yeah, communication is key for any relationship.
Yes.
Eragon promises to share important decisions with her and take her input before stuff like this happens again. And couples goal, am I right?
Yes, I would say so. I mean, Roran and Katrina are kind of couples goals, but right now Eragon and Saphira are just like on a different playing field.
They're really modeling like repair attempts. Like that, no
beautiful.
one turns their back on the repair
Yes.
attempt. It's very good. Anyway, once they're in camp, Eragon runs into his magic elven strike team of doom. I will be referring to them as Elf Team 12 or maybe the Dreamy Dozen.
Okay. I mean, I was kind of partial to Magic Elven Strike Team of Doom. Really rolls off the tongue, Dave. That's
Okay.
it's just clean. You know?
We'll workshop it, all right? We'll workshop it. But his meeting with Bloodgarm is nice.
Okay.
We learned that the furry elf we saw at the Blood Oath celebration was Bloodgarm's cousins.
I forgot about that guy.
Yeah, so it gets me thinking, is Bloodgarm's whole family like the deep dwarf hermits of the elven community? It's just funny to me. Like, do the other elves just like roll their eyes?
Like, oh, great.
It's true.
These guys are here again.
It's like, keep it together in front of the humans, man. Anyway, it's no
We
surprise.
can't let the humans know about all the sex muss.
Yeah. Stop it, man. Anyway, it's no surprise, but it turns out the women of the Varden are obsessed with Bloodgarm because of his sex must.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And even Saphira likes what she smells in our Sex Panther. Half dragon baby in our future.
Oh.
Anyway, Eragon is clearly not confident about himself at all, immediately worrying about Arya and Nasawada falling prey
Oh my God.
to Bloodgarm's smelly love dusting.
Of course, this guy.
Yes, and just be cool, dog. No worries, though. Both of Eragon's love interests are protected with magic. Gotta lock up your
Thing
dragon,
you're forcing
too.
to happen. Both of his love interests.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. And wait, is Paolini actually more freaky in this book, or are we being dirty? I'm starting to think that it might be us.
Just now starting, you think?
I'm thinking it might be us.
I don't know. I think the Roran stuff is probably Christopher Paolini, but the rest of it's probably us.
Yeah.
It doesn't bode well for us.
But Eragon shouldn't be too overwhelmed with jealousy because the Varden are clearly pumped he's back, and he adds a new name to the growing collection, Bane of the Rozak. He likes it. I like it. We all like it.
It's a good nickname.
Yeah, it's well earned.
No notes.
Revenge does have its perks, it seems.
Only for the nicknames, you think?
Oh, dude, that's the only way you do that. That's
and to make you able to sleep at night now?
Yeah,
That's
now
why
I feel
Eragon got revenge.
As Eragon struts through camp, basking in the praise of the Varden, he runs into the people of Carvajal. We get top-tier Carvajallers, too.
Good.
Horse and Baldur, and whoever that other son is.
What the fuck? Justice for Albrecht.
I'm moving right along. Brother cousin Roran shows up with Katrina and rightfully gives him some shit about ditching them last minute at the Rozak cave. And also, in my favorite exchange, Roran asks where his staff is, and he's like, bro, I was able to keep that while I traveled across the whole of the Empire. You lost it in a week.
I did really love this. I was like, that is so typical older sibling. As a person, youngest of my family, plagued by older siblings, are like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, seriously.
Why are you ruining all my cool stuff?
I know. It's like, what?
I'm like, I don't know. I'm 4.
Yeah, I'm 4. Yeah, Eragon's 4.
Sorry, sir. This is a Wendy's.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to ruin your staff.
Ruin it. Well, one, he's totally right. And 2, I feel like this is a really nice bro vibes with these two, which we don't really get as much as we deserve. So I really revel in it whenever we do get. Then we get, and I am hoping, beginning of something nice, Jax. I'm hoping this is the beginning. So Eragon is reflecting that our queen president, Nasawada, shows up to say hello, that no one compares to her striking good looks and appearance except Saphira.
Oh, that's a top tier compliment from Eragon.
Yes, dude. Lean into those feelings. This should be your girl, bro. She's a babe. She's badass. More importantly, she's nice to you. Let Arya go. Let her fly away.
Yes. Just let her go be her emo elf self. She doesn't need no man.
She doesn't.
Neither does Naswada, but at least they're nice to each other.
But they're nice to each other. Anyway, Eragon ends up in the command pavilion after Nasawada gives a sick speech to the crowd of soldiers to pump them up at Eragon's return and put that sweet PR spin on the Rozak murder to imply Gal is so weak. Eragon can just walk through the whole empire unchecked, so she is competent. I always love to see it.
Yes.
King Oren follows her speech with his own, and this is really interesting. While Oren is making a much less impressive speech, Eragon is thinking that Oren is smart, but he is not the right fit to rule if they win this war, and he's really given some Jeb Bush vibes. So fan casting.
Jeb with the exclamation point.
Jeb.
So now we get Oren.
Yeah, he's Oren. So fan casting for the pod is official.
Oh, no.
King Oren will be cast by Jeb Bush. Yeah.
Does he have acting skills?
He doesn't need it for King Oren. I think it'll be more awkward if Jeb is just Jeb. Oren. Then I think a bit of in repayment to making her worry, Queen President throws Eragon the mic and he totally freaks out.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he hasn't been to nearly enough poetry jams here. It's like an essential part of the hero's journey, and he just fucking missed it. I can't believe that.
Oh, yes, the Joseph Campbell's Battle of the Beats. You're right about what?
Months of poetry. You get the Road of Trials, months of poetry jams, apotheosis.
Yeah. On the road.
Exactly.
Saw some spear. I can't do that. Yeah. You're right about one thing, Jax. He's not prepared. And it literally just stands there in silence.
That's our boy.
Totally afraid. And then Saphira.
I so relate to this, though. I'm like, yes, 100%.
Oh, impromptu public speaking is also terrifying.
Dude.
You're like, wait, what?
Almost any public. Sometimes it is worse if you know it's coming.
That's true.
Again,
you can dwell on it for weeks at a time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I've mentioned this before. The only reason this podcast happens is that it's just us in a room with Kevin, and I conveniently forget that anybody might listen to it.
That's fair. That's fair. So public speaking, Eragon and Jacqui's greatest foe. That's what we've learned.
It's important to have an arch nemesis, I think. That's what we really need in a fantasy novel is like...
Gal's not the real villain.
No.
It was public speaking all along.
That's true. But that does take us to chapter 15, To Answer a King.
Ooh.
This chapter picks up and we haven't missed a beat. Love it when that happens. You just turn the page right back in it. Naswada asks Jormungandr to disband all the plebs gathered outside her tent and has Arya, Eragon, Saphira, and Oren step into her office for a quick conference with the upper brass of the Varden. After Eragon makes an entire hour of small talk with like the VIPs that Neswata's gathered, she dismisses that crowd and then repeats the process with 2 more groups of higher-ups. I feel so bad for Eragon.
That's the worst.
Yeah, it's just mixing and mingling. Just when he thinks it's over,
yeah,
he's like oh,
that'd be like going to one of those like networking mixers.
Yes.
And then as soon as you're like, oh, I'm free, they're like, come into this room. It's a new one.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I did like just kind of the vibe here, like you said about the public speech. I definitely got the feeling that Neswata's like trying to make Eragon pay for like the whole Razak debacle alone in the Empire. She's like, oh, sorry, you just like have to do your due diligence.
You are the bane of the Razak now.
Yes, exactly. But apparently the only part of this that Eragon doesn't find absolutely mind-numbing is watching the way people react to Neswata's Urgal guards. And that's a little funny to me because just 2 chapters ago, Eragon was doing some light anti-Urgal racism, and now he's very amused at all the other people who are just like uncomfortable around the Urgals.
So he's not only racist, he's a hypocrite. Perfect.
Yeah, all the best racists are, I think.
Fair.
But with everybody finally gone, Oren deflates from his kingly posture like a punctured mad scientist balloon, and he demands that Eragon give him the full like Snyder cut version of what the fuck he's been up to since Hellgrind. And I can't help feeling this scene is a little bit of a departure in Oren's character. He's very abrupt, like trying essentially to pull rank on everybody here. And Neswata basically hands his ass right back to him. Remember the tension they've been building.
Yeah.
But I think she does this delicately in this scene for sure.
Yes, unlike the last time.
She's not about to pass out from blood loss. So she has her wits about her.
Yeah.
She uses her social graces to say that basically not one of them in that pavilion is Oren's subject. They're all as close to equals as any of them are going to find. And Oren and Neswata bicker back and forth a little bit, like he's trying to give it back to her and like still just will not let it go, trying to pull rank. And it's clear he's like so worried he's losing his grip on power to Queen President.
Yeah, I agree. It feels clear here that Paolini wants to go somewhere with Oren now, and it feels different to me too. But it almost fits the Jeb arc we're going on. So
yes, I think
this
so.
This is Jeb in the debate with Trump, just being like kind
of panicked, but also still trying to be like, I can take it,
and like going back to his script.
The seat is mine. Yes, I totally feel that. But we learned in his little rant that Oren's line of ancestry was kind of interesting to me. Okay. It actually extends all the way back to the successor of King Palancar. Remember that fucking guy?
Yeah.
Of the Valley? His successor ruled in Illyria, which is now Urbane. That line continued all the way down to Oren, which is wild. And I guess you can take the Mad Kings out of the Valley, but
so on top of it all, Oren is a Valley girl as well.
Yes, a Valley girl, kind of insane king, maybe. I think maybe we could take some notes from his Blood Calls Blood.
Oh, God.
But after Oren points out all the ways he feels, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep doing that. I'm going to try, though.
Well, yeah, we'll have to, we have to put it out when it's the right time.
Okay.
Right? Just so that we don't drive everyone crazy going,
Oren! We'll see.
It sounds like we're calling a Pokemon, too.
Well, now I only want to do that. Now that you put it that way. But after he points out all the ways Neswata, like he feels like Neswata's been slighting him this whole time, he straight up gives her the ultimatum that if she doesn't start treating him as an equal, he's going to publicly oppose her. And like, holy shit, has this guy ever seen a therapist? Like, you really are not supposed to let things build up this way. It's not good for you.
I don't know. I think, Jax, this is what we call in New Age work culture radical candor. Oren's just on his boy boss techniques.
You think?
He's really...
You think this is part of his like workplace HR overhaul of the Varden?
Yes. This is just radical candor.
I don't know. It seems like he's been keeping some stuff inside.
It does feel like there's some pent-up
and
aggression.
now it overfloweth.
Yeah.
Kind of creating a problem here. But Saphir and Eragon do a quick like mind meld sidebar about the turn this meeting is taking. And Saphir's first comment is amazing to me. She's just like, this fucking guy, he's a lot, am I right? Like, what is he doing?
I love her.
And Neswata comes to the rescue by finally shutting this shit down, giving Oren the classic, I'm sorry you felt that way apology. But of course she does it like a pro, not a fuckboy, and promises not to repeat any of her perceived slights. Oren accepts her apology because she's so good at it, and they get down to questioning Eragon together, finally.
Perfect.
Purpose of this whole meeting and this chapter.
They bond over just going after the other guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Eragon asks everybody first to keep his story out their mouths. He's like, don't tell this to anybody.
Yeah.
And then he launches on a full recounting of basically what's the first 25% of this book. Christopher Paolini doesn't get into the details here. Neither will I.
Thank God.
We all were there.
Yeah.
So when Eragon wraps up, Neswata surprises him by saying she thinks he did the right thing, and Oren agrees, like as far as the whole Sloane thing goes.
Yeah.
Eragon's shocked, but they both point out that he didn't usurp their authority over corporal punishment, which would have made him an immortal tyrant just like Gal. So they're like, good, you're not supposed to do that. Congratulations.
Well done.
And after an interminable time answering more questions, Oren and Arya dip out of this meeting, leaving Neswata to chat with Eragon and Saphira on their own.
Yeah, they're alone now.
Yes. I mean, yes, Queen President kind of lets her guard down around just Eragon and Saphira, which is nice. And as soon as she kind of drops that veneer of strength, Eragon frets over her health, like just finally seeing in person all her wounds from the trial of the long knives, and she seems to be recovering pretty slowly from all that casual knife business. And he thinks the whole thing is barbaric, but Neswata points out like it's a little late for her to start being bothered by her wounds, so she's gonna bear them. And I'm just like, dude, what a baller, what a badass.
How he's not crushing on her is insane to me.
I have a giant crush on her, so I
I'm
don't
like, dude,
get it.
She's the best.
Yes. I know, obviously, I go on at length about Roran, but that's in the writing, so I can't really help it. Yeah. It's not necessarily my thing, but Neswata, I have a big fucking crush on. I think she is my, like, number one in this book.
She's pretty cool.
Incredible. But now that they're all able to be candid, Eragon assures Neswata that he still has no intentions of ever ruling. I mean, I think seeing that whole dust up between her and Oren, he's like, by the way, I don't have a horse in that race.
Not my thing.
Yeah, I don't want you to ever treat me like you treat Oren, basically. I don't want to be condescended too nicely by you.
That seems bad.
Yeah, that seems bad. But Neswata responds that he's a good person, but she does immediately strike the comparison between Eragon, Roran, and Murtagh. She's like, you're a good person. It's nice that you don't want to abuse your power. And then she kind of parlays that into a discussion of the three boys, and the two ladies in the room marvel at how well all these half-brother cousins manage to get themselves in the shit constantly. Yeah. And Neswata and Eragon make what I think is probably the best, like, most perfect joke in this series so far. Yeah. Neswata says, if you, Roran, and Murtagh were locked in the same cell, I'm not sure who would survive. And Eragon immediately, like, does not miss a beat, replies, Roran. He's not about to let a little thing like death stand between him and Katrina. Very true. That is such a good read, Eragon.
Even Eragon's like, no, that guy's crazy.
That guy's a wild person. Yeah, we're murder wizards and, like, sword masters, but Roran would destroy us on behalf of Katrina.
He's wild.
I love that energy.
Yeah.
But the chapter ends with Neswata's concerns that Eragon must be dirty and starving. Remember, he hasn't taken a beat since he got back from
he's been
just
doing
running through.
Yes,
exactly. And they don't necessarily have time to just sit and joke around. And I'm like, I wish you did. Your jokes are good.
I know. I like them together.
Give us the stand-up routine.
Can you guys have tea or something? And
yes.
like
have tea. Do like, maybe they should have a podcast, Dane.
Yeah.
But she tells Eragon to go take a bath and suit up because she's requesting that he attend a dinner as her guest that night, and he agrees to do it. So I think he's prepping up for some more mind-numbing mingling with the nobles.
Political stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it takes us to chapter 16, A Feast with Friends. Eragon heads to his tent, checks out his shit to make sure he wasn't robbed, which I guess I didn't think about, but yeah, why wouldn't he get robbed? He's a dragon rider. He'd be a good mark. He's probably got priceless artifacts, I guess.
Probably because of the whole he's a murder wizard and has a dragon. I wouldn't want to try to rob that guy.
I mean, that's fair, but
I value my own life and limb
over material goods.
Yes, that's me.
Anyway, he uncovers Murtagh's hand-and-a-half swords, which he creepily collected after the burning place. That was weird to me.
Really?
Yes. I was like, why did you collect this? That's
I think it's
strange.
because of your just like deep connection to Murtagh as an emo boy. You're like, it's weird when somebody goes emo on the emo boy.
Yeah, it's like, that's his, man. That's his pain. Anyway, but he decides not to use the sword after all, since it might ruin the morale of the men and women of the Varden. And I don't agree here. I think there are some things he could do at least, like change the hilt and scabbard or disguise it, but
use
whatever.
His magic.
Yeah. After that weird pit stop, he runs into Nasawada on his way to meet her for dinner, and they like chat it up. They're such natural friends. It's so
really
nice.
are.
They need a podcast. This is what I'm saying.
I think that makes sense. Yeah. I think that's the only thing to do when you have a friend.
When you have a friend, you should have a podcast. You heard it here first. If you have a friend, you are qualified for podcasting.
And I think you're required to do podcast. That's what somebody told us.
It's an American,
so here we are.
It's the American thing to do.
Yes, it's patriotic.
Yeah. Which leads Eragon to think of how much he cares for her. And I'm like, dude, come on. Anyway, I know I'm leaning on this hard, but it just feels right.
It does. I have to agree with you at least a little bit here, especially in this chapter.
Yeah.
Off the charts.
Especially in comparison to the last two chapters. I'm like, Eragon, dude, what are you not picking up?
Dude.
Mommy issues run deep. Anyway, finally they reach their destination in a surprise party for Eragon.
Surprise!
It's all
we don't have party hats and confetti today, but surprise.
No. Well, it's not revenge, Jacqui. Don't get crazy.
We can't do it for nice things.
No. Only
violent things.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's how you get new names.
That's on brand for us, I think. Yeah. That's fair.
It's all the people of Carvajal. Angela, Elva, and Jode are also. Elva was invited.
All Eragon's favorite people.
Yeah, Helen's there too, so I guess Jode's marriage isn't completely over.
That's good news for our boy Jode and his hot but angry wife.
Seriously, I like Helen.
Yes, you do.
We learn that Roran suggested the guest list, but the party was all Nasawada's idea, and I love this part of the book. It always gives me the warm and fuzzies. And dude,
oh my God.
Again,
Dane.
she made him a surprise party.
I know. I will say I do distinctly remember reading this in high school and just shipping these two hard. Like even at the time when I was so primed to just accept any rom-com elements where this book is trying to set up Arya and Eragon, friends to lovers, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But even knowing all of that, being so primed for it as a, 17-year-old when this came out, the Naswada stuff just hits so much harder for me because they do have such natural chemistry in these chapters. And it's so strange that we finally get nice scenes with Arya, and this still, I think, just clearly trumps that. It
just is better than that. Yeah, I don't know. I get where it's going.
Squandered opportunity, I think.
But it is. I agree.
I also, though, famously shipped Harry and Hermione in Harry Potter like a toxic.
Didn't she intend that? Wasn't that
toxic person?
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, I think it's debated, but I think the problem is then you just have Ron. What's he gonna do? Yeah. Anyway, I digress.
The real solution is Arya and Nasawada need to get together. That would solve all the problems.
I mean, yeah, I'm kind of not mad about it.
Yeah, they're on a level.
If Naswada is about it, she was looking around thinking how hot Arya was.
That's what I'm saying.
Last chapter,
and Nasawada wouldn't be weird about it.
Yeah, they're kind of friends. They're equals.
Yeah, they're equals.
I feel like when they're in the same scene, they side talk to each other.
Yeah, they give each other glances.
They're
you see
this guy.
This guy. All right.
Okay.
Anyway,
maybe new ship, Dane. Thank you for giving that to me.
You're welcome. Eragon parties with his friends and family. There's dancing, magic from Angela, storytelling from Eragon, Jode sings songs, and the kids are playing on Saphira. It's all very nice. I want to point out that Baldur does leave with his mom Elaine because she's so pregnant and not the other son. I'm just saying. Anyway, Baldur Strongbow is the best son.
Damn, Dane, arrows fired. What the fuck did Albrecht do to you?
I don't know, but Baldur did something to me. It's not what he did, but it's also not what he did to me. It's what he didn't do for the people of Carvajal. I don't remember Albrecht shooting a leather block at Jacqui.
Okay, there was only one.
I'm just saying.
There was only one massive bow.
Probably two bows. One bird. Oh my God, we're moving on. Nasawada then gives Eragon 2 free days off work. Eragon responds to this awesome gift from his hot boss with a workplace dilemma.
Eragon, be cool.
He's like, great.
I have a problem.
Will she be able to give up Elva since he plans to remove her curse as he promised her?
Yeah.
And Nasawada grumbles that his promises are really making this whole war thing harder than it needs to be.
Yeah.
And she even says Elva might be the only person who can kill Galatorix and wonders if he can pretend to not know to cure her.
That was wild. I was like, damn, Nasawada, okay.
And he refuses right away.
Yeah.
Where are the morality police now?
Yes, he's like, I'm a good person.
Yes.
I won't go back on my word. And
Yeah.
she's like, you could though.
I don't
You
hear-
just like could.
Not a lot of sociopath essays for Nasawada. Anyway, don't hear you haters mentioning this. The only way we hope he does give Queen President is that he might fail, or she can always ask Elva to keep her powers herself.
Yes, he's
for the
like,
good
you
of the
never
world.
know. I might just be shitty at this. So.
Yeah. Or you could ask. She agrees to try that. She's going to ask and tells him that they'll work on this a little after dawn tomorrow.
Ugh.
So not a full 2 days off, but okay. It makes sense that Nasawada is a work on your days off kind of boss. She's like, okay, I guess come in then. Dawn. We're at a party.
Dawn is bad. That's especially rude. But I guess like technically this is a personal errand, not a work thing.
It's very work adjacent. It seems very this is her like witch baby. That she
I mean,
sits behind
Naswada
her throat.
specifically doesn't want him to do this. She's
This
like,
is
I wish
true.
you wouldn't do this
But
as
this
part
is
of
like,
your job.
isn't this the move people complain about, like CEOs in HR? They're like, well, yes, we can fix that, but we'll need to do that in your extra time. I don't know.
I don't
Anyway,
know. She doesn't want it fixed, though. She's like, don't fix it and don't do it in your extra. Take a day off.
That's fair. But we cut to Roran.
But if you're not going to, come at dawn.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very mixed messages.
Yeah, I'm getting it makes sense for me from Nasawada. I like it. I almost like her more. That she's like, yeah, come in on dawn.
You like a woman with boundaries,
I
with
do.
expectations.
I do. We cut to Roran confronting his brother cousin on whether Eragon left anything out on that whole Hillgrind thing. And Eragon gets pretty intense and tells him to never ask about it again.
Yes.
And it's not a great way to keep the secret he wants to keep, but it
Eragon
is.
has zero chill.
Yeah, but it's one strategy.
Yeah.
Roran totally knows about Sloane for sure. And he knows he's lying about the butcher, but it makes Eragon feel yucky.
Yeah.
He resolves to keep his secret, though, and Roran, totally unfazed by what he saw in his brother cousin's eyes, asks if Eragon will marry him and Katrina. Eragon is shocked, and he asks if he would rather have a king or leader of the Varden do it.
Eragon's like, you saw my speech earlier, right? I just want to be clear. You were there for that?
Yeah, he's like, Orin! Or, Nasawada would do it for you.
Yeah.
Roran's a total bro here. Stronghammer.
It's really nice.
It's giving me strong feelings.
Oh my God.
And he says that Eragon is a rider, but also his only blood left.
Yeah.
He wants his family to do it. They hug. It's very nice. Roran explains the wedding needs to be in 2 days, though. Yeah. And when Eragon wonders if people will think that's weird, Roran lets him know that Katrina is deaf prego.
Yes.
And they will have more to talk about at the wedding if, this doesn't happen soon.
Yes, Eragon's like, won't the people talk? And Roran's like, they'll be talking if we don't do it, bud.
Dude, I gotta do this.
Yeah.
And then Roran's giving very much I'm going to be a bride vibes as he runs back into the party.
Yes, it's giving, I'm getting married. He
does that.
skips off back into It's
Yes.
amazing.
And to end this lovely chapter on a bad note, not a bad note.
I was like,
not
what?
a bad note. Sorry. Eragon and Saphira go for a midnight joyride. They just go fly together.
That's nice.
It's really nice.
We love to see them.
And
I
that's that.
am so happy they're back together. Seeing them just long for each other, feel so disoriented, so isolated with the absence of that bond. I'm like, oh, thank God we need them together.
And it feels so good.
There it is.
There it is. It's been a while.
I know.
We
I
need a
was thinking
song.
we might make it through this whole season. I've sung a couple times, which is worse.
Yes.
In a vacuum.
Well, because
I guess one of us is going to sing, and
I've
it should
set up-
probably be you.
Yeah, I've set up the expectation that it's always bad. So
Well, I don't know. Maybe these headphones that I'm wearing are doing something wrong, but you sound, fine.
you really are a friend,
I
Jacqui.
actually am tone deaf. So I'm like, if one of us is going to sing, I think it should be you, unfortunately.
I'm tone deaf
If
too.
anyone's listening, weigh in, please.
Yes.
Because somebody's singing. You don't have a choice.
It's just playing in the radio of our mom's car. It's like, you're great. Anyway.
Yes, Laura's out there being like, I think you all sound beautiful, is a thing my mom actually says frequently.
A lot.
Love her. She's the nicest
I love
lady.
you, Laura.
We love you. Anyway, chapter 17, intersecting sagas. This chapter opens on Eragon doing some light chores at dawn, cleaning his armor and healing a woman with a tumor. Same kind of chores I do daily. when he finishes, he has a little chat with Saphira about setting aside a day to hear requests from the Varden. So he like heals this woman and he was like, damn, the people probably need us. Maybe I should take some time like Naswada does.
Yeah.
To just help the people with anything they need. And that's, I'm like, damn, good for him.
Yeah. Well, that's obviously evil, says the morality police.
Yes, he's a sociopath,
Yes,
everybody.
that's the thoughts
wanting
of a
to
sociopath.
heal everyone with cancer.
Man.
He's literally curing cancer.
What a jerk
Yes,
this guy
what an
is.
asshole. But he does take a hard pivot from that niceness to think the never-ending refrain of this book. Once again, I need a sword.
Yeah. Okay.
And my official count right now is 6 I need a swords at this point in this book.
We're only 4 chapters into this book.
What?
Oh, wait. We're 4 episodes. We're 14
like,
chapters.
are you okay, Dane?
Sorry.
Chapter 17.
I blacked out for a second.
Dane's here, everyone. It's fine. But I don't know. I'm just thinking like 6 so far in this book. If you want to add some danger, like an element of danger to your reading, I think you should drink every time Eragon says, I need a sword. You could black out like Dane and not know what chapter we're on.
Where am I?
I'm back. I've had 17 shots of fireball.
Yes.
Anyway, they head over to Naswada's pavilion. Also, don't drink that much.
Yeah,
it's
don't.
bad.
That is bad.
I think legally I cannot advise anyone to do that. So they head over to Naswada's pavilion for the creepy witch baby meeting, and they run into Angela on the way. She's in the process of casting her ultra metal dragon knuckle bones. Remember these, Dane? I know you could not forget.
I cannot forget these.
Yes,
cool things.
to tell the fortune of an imposing-looking woman who has clearly escaped imprisonment with her beautiful and strong daughter.
Oh, nice.
Very odd duo here. So Angela asks Eragon to give these 2 women his blessings, and I'm just like, what a bold request when there's no way Angela, of all people, doesn't know he's en route to remove the curse, his last blessing wrought on someone.
Yeah.
And Angela is famously pissed about all of this. So I'm like, why would you ask him to do this?
It is very weird.
It is bonkers to me. So Eragon consults with Saphira about this, who thinks he's probably learned from the whole Elva debacle and he should go for it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, the women in this book are nothing if not optimistic.
They're very...
they really believe in our boy.
They believe in second chances.
They do. And that's nice in a way, but I'm worried about this. So Eragon asks the names of the woman and her daughter, and when they refuse to tell him, this the whole thing is kind of insane.
It's weird.
They refuse to tell him their names, and he just moves it right along and blesses them anyway. He's
Well,
like,
I've thought
okay.
about this. He's surrounded by Arya, Naswada, like Saphira, and Angela.
Yeah.
He's used to women just telling him no on a regular basis. At this
That's a
point.
good point.
He's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, whatever. I get
guess,
it.
yeah.
I get it. I'm annoying.
That makes sense.
Yeah, why would I need to know that?
But he does, in fact, bless them with just no names to speak of.
Yeah.
He feels his strength drop with each blessing, so we do know there's magic in here. So something's happening. And I'm a little concerned, too, that he's like using up a lot of his energy right before he's supposed to go try the hardest magic he's ever attempted. Like, remember Oramus telling him about removing curses and like,
Yes.
or undoing spells in general and
Yes.
how much that's going to tax him?
Yeah, longest blinks I've ever had. I think Brahm would be so mad with
Oh
this.
my God. Yeah. Sometimes I wonder if the Sweet Bean Farmer has learned anything at all. And I'm just like missing, like very nostalgic for those classic Brahm ass rippings from book 1. I'm
Yeah.
like, I think he needs
He needs
another.
someone like that, yeah.
Yes, please, sir. May I
He
have
doesn't have
another?
enough people.
Dude,
Just-
he just has these ladies out here being like, go for it. You got it.
but like, don't ask my name.
Yes. Bonkers to me. And he also healed somebody's I'm just like, your strength level worried about it. His batteries need.
What if he's just pulling from Saphira? She's just like dragging her feet. She's like, okay, we can do this.
She's exhausted.
Eragon's like, I feel great this morning.
Yes, I feel chipper this dawn. Yes, it's also dawn. Still,
Yes.
never forget. So Saphira wraps up this whole blessing party by breathing in the faces of the woman and her daughter and giving them her own benediction. And they depart. And Angela calls the woman Brisingr, which is cool as hell. And she joins Eragon and Saphira onto Naswada's tent because she's got to be in it.
Yeah.
They banter a bit on the walk because Angela won't tell Eragon shit about Brisingr and her daughter. Eragon's like, so what's the deal with those two? And Angela's like, let me change the subject.
Yeah.
She asks if anything else interesting happened to Eragon on his journey back from Hellgrind. And when he starts to tell Angela about Tenga, the hermit, it stops her dead in her tracks for the first time, I think, ever. Maybe first and last time, who's to say. Angela's dumbfounded. at hearing about Tenga, and she lets it slip that she was the apprentice Tenga was talking about. So you're right.
It's bound to happen sometimes.
Well, I mean, sometimes outside of the deep dives and haters anyway, like you're using up a lot of your energy being right in those two places.
I mean, it does help that I've read this series several times.
Well, I guess, but Angela says that Tenga is in fact insane. Also, something we know clearly.
Yes.
But she says apparently he's also brilliant. She says Solumbum didn't care for him, and neither of them know what question he's trying to answer. So I feel like this chapter ends there and leaves us with more questions than we had before.
Overall, weird chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that takes us to chapter 18, Making Amends. This chapter starts with Eragon being told that he is late. And I have to remind everyone that Eragon is still a teen, and it makes a lot of sense. If you're not early, you're late, my dude. But also, it is his day off, so there has to be a little bit of wiggle room.
I mean, it's just like when you can't get too drunk at the work happy hour. If your boss is there, even if it's a day off, even if it's a social engagement, classic social engagement, removing a curse from a witch baby.
Yes. We've all been there.
Yes. You still can't show up late. You still can't make a bad impression in front of your hot boss, Dane.
So true. Do you think Eragon is in business casual right now? Just
what would business casual look like for the dwarf adopted half elf, half human dragon rider of old? What is his business casual?
So rather than full armor, it's like a polo out of chainmail. Tucked into I don't know,
khakis. Just still khakis.
Yes, with his braided belts.
Yes, khakis, braided belt, chainmail polo,
and he's wearing Birkenstocks because
he's still a vegan.
Because he's still a vegan a little bit.
Yes, vegans.
Only,
and this is real.
Yeah.
Vegans only wear Birkenstocks, and they are famously made out of leather and suede. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, famously. Anyway, please don't add us. We know that's not right. Sorry, vegans. They're an angry bunch. Those vegans. They're so hungry. I'm just kidding. Vegans.
We can't help it.
I know. I'm sorry. Nasawada proceeds to plead with our cursed witch baby to let Eragon skate on his promise until they kill Gal, as they might need her powers. Apparently, it's a very good speech.
I mean, it's a reasonable argument. She's like, listen, he'll do it, but just
wait.
Can you wait till we're not in the middle of a war?
And knowing our go, I bet it's delivered very smooth.
Of course.
But Ella just says, nah. She speaks to Eragon first,
Savage.
saying that he knows what it's like to be connected to someone or something as it dies and how horrible that is. She says that it's that pain is just from one creature and that he can choose to just not put himself through that.
Yeah.
Ella gets no choice. And on top of all that, everyone dies around her all the time. She goes on to say that she is aware of all the pain in the entire army all of the time.
Yeah.
And is always fighting the overwhelming urge to help those around her. When she does fight the urge, she goes through even more agony. She then breaks my heart as she says that all the things that make life worth living are things she's never got to experience.
Yeah.
Her life is full of only the worst things: pain, misery, and death. And she has been forced to grow unnaturally and become a freak who will never have a childhood. And that even if she were fixed right now, she will still be forever changed by her experiences being cursed.
Yeah.
And she will endure it no longer.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's
Dane,
pretty
we were
intense.
having fun.
Yeah. Well, this gets
is
weird.
bleak,
It gets
dude,
super weird. Elva then asks Nasawada if she truly understands what she's asking and calls her she who would be queen of the world.
No.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Yes, I like that for an Elva voice.
Yeah.
I think what we're seeing here, we were riding high on business casual.
Yeah.
Took a hard pivot. I think I'm...
Well, like all business functions that are not actually work, this has got weird really quickly.
Yes, the vibes got weird real quick. I think for now, I'm going to refer to it as the Elva effect. It's like every time she's on screen, we're like, fuck yeah,
weird.
magic's a problem. This world has consequences. Yeah.
Well, I wonder if Elva, feeling all the hopes and dreams and fears of people, knows what Nasawada really wants.
Oh, calling her that?
Yeah, is she going to go after queen president of everyone if they win?
Yeah, I mean, it's a chilling thought that Elva knows that so well. Also kind of a chilling thought that Naswada's in it for power. It doesn't
surprise me very. She's competent and nice, but it does seem like she likes to be in charge.
Yes, it seems like she's a good person, and it seems like she's genuinely trying to do the right thing. I don't know if we've gotten many ties to she wants the power for the power's sake, but like you said, it wouldn't surprise me.
wouldn't
Like there's a little undertone of
There's
that.
a weird undertone with her. But anyway, Elva ends her speech by saying that she is not even 2 years old. And if they want to judge her, she should be judged as a baby. A cursed witch baby, yes, but a baby.
That's fair.
Yeah. Nasawat asks Angela and Eragon to help because, of course, I forgot Angela is there for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
And Angela just says no.
Oh, my
thanks,
God.
basically.
I'm good.
Yeah, she's like, no, thank you.
You're
She's
on
just
your own,
there.
y'all.
She's just there. It's fucking wild.
Well, yeah, she's pissed about this, and I don't think she's going to go against anything Elva has to say at all.
By the way, to be clear, he is the commander of Durango Garda. He could have like an army of wizards here. Just Angela showed up. Anyway, and Eragon just adds up.
He didn't ask her either. She just was like, well, I'm coming.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Okay.
Eragon just adds a plea explaining that Elva could kill Galbatorix or help win the war one more time, but Nasawata totally gives up, and Eragon tries to fix Elva. We get a few nuggets from Angela here where she admits that she had a hard time opening herself up to the flow of magic.
Okay.
And that's why she instead relies on potions, plants, and magic items.
Yeah.
It cuts off as Eragon tells her to shush, which I was a little bummed because it's the only time I've been like, let her go on, dude.
Yes, we want to hear more about this. She's very interesting.
Yeah.
And he's like, why don't you shut the fuck up and let me do my spell, ho?
I know, but
you're like,
he's
dude,
finally sticking up for himself, and I'm like, no, shut up, Eragon. Anyway.
Not today.
Yeah, Eragon explains the options he has to Elva. He can either alter the original spell by casting it again with new intent and maybe a change.
Yeah.
Or he can create a new spell that counters the original spell continuously with the energy needed for that being supplied by Elva, so she would never be as strong or healthy as a normal person. And Elva asks why he can't just supply the energy.
I loved this.
Since it's his fuck up.
Okay, girl.
And
you're not wrong.
And he does say like he would, but he'd always have to be near her.
Yeah.
And it would kill him if he wasn't.
That's true.
So
I guess
that's a reason not to.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You mean you can't just always keep the witch baby with you while you have dragon battles
Also,
and try to kill a crazy wizard?
Famously a bummer.
Yeah.
Elva chooses the first option, and Eragon begins the spell to speak the spell using Saphira as a battery. Well, now he's doing it.
Yes. There we go. That makes sense.
Yeah. Afterwards, Elva says she can still sense people, but her compulsion to help them has gone away.
Yeah.
And while Eragon thinks of a new spell to try, Elva says no. She can ignore the troubles of all the people, and she alludes that eventually she thinks she might even be able to stop feeling them completely if she wants.
Fucking crazy.
Saphira finally butts in, and she asks, "Why would you want to stay this way, baby? Because it sounds because it sounds horrible." And our creepy witch baby explains that she already has changed so much. If she keeps this power, she's special because she's a freak now. But it's her choice, not Eragon's.
Dude.
Things get tense and creepy really quick. Like it goes up to 11.
Yeah.
Elva instantly has a change of demeanor and says she will answer to no one and no thing. And if she helps people, it will only because she wants to.
Yeah.
She says, woe to those who oppose her, as she knows everything they want and every pain they feel.
Dude.
She then looks over at her nursemaid, Greta, also just there, and says to be gone. She's beholden to no one, which is fucking brutal.
Yes.
And then everyone, like, a bit sickened by this. Like, she is a little witch baby after all. And Eragon decides, like, I'm going to undo what I've just done.
I think I've gone real wrong.
I think I've made a monster.
Yes.
And with her magical sense, Elva knows what he's planning and clamps her hand on his mouth.
I was like, I think I like gasped audibly. I was like, oh shit.
It's like a little Chucky baby. Like, no. It's weird.
It's very strange.
So the guards run in, the elves run in.
Yes.
Saphira growls and like kind of gets up and says like, let go.
Yeah.
But Elva just looks at Eragon and says, quote, Eragon, cease. If you cast that spell, you may hurt me, as you hurt me once before.
God.
Do you want that? Every time when you lay yourself to sleep, you will think of me, and the memory of the wrong you have committed will torment you. What you are going to do was evil, Eragon. Are you the judge of the world? Will you condemn me in the absence of wrongdoing merely because you do not approve of me?
Ooh.
That way lies the depraved pleasure of controlling others for your own satisfaction. Galbatorix.
Oh my God.
Would approve. Anyway, I read it like that because it is fucking creepy.
Dude.
And also,
I like shrunk a size
like,
when you
whoa.
did that. I was like, oh no, protect yourself.
Very weird.
Yeah.
But this strikes Eragon dumb. Since
Yes.
I think this is his deepest fear. He doesn't want to be Galbatorix.
Of course,
Yeah.
yes.
Hands down, the worst part about Elva is everything she knows about people because
Yeah.
that's fucking creepy.
100%.
And Elva says that he has not earned her favor. And when next they meet, she will be ambivalent to him. But she does say she is Saphira's faithful servant before
Love
looking
that.
around and leaving.
I will say, after all of this, her saying, I don't have ill will towards you or
Yes.
goodwill.
She's just
I'm taking that as a win. When she said that, I was like, that's the best you're going to get, my guy.
Elva's the one person I wouldn't want to be an enemy with. Like, everybody else will kill you. Elva will just, like, torture you. It's horrible.
Elva will just make your life a living hell.
Yes, and you can't do anything to her because she'll be like, no. Anyway, Eragon instantly wonders what sort of monster he has made, and everyone is really weirded out.
Yeah, the vibes at this hang took a turn from bad to worse to excruciating.
And I love it. The Urgal Nighthawks that are there even do like wards against evil, which is hilarious as they're the most feared race in the room. And the little babies walking out, they're like, oh god,
oh no,
touching their horns and stuff. Okay, and then Angela. Okay. Hold on. I'm almost done with this chapter, but Angela slaps Eragon in the face.
Yes.
Splitting his lip. So hard.
Dude.
What the fuck? I don't get it. She's a
strong, independent woman. She's so strong.
She says that now she's going to have to spend the next decade teaching Elva how to behave. What? I don't know how this is allowed by this character. Like, it's wild to me. We learn here that, of course, Angela is also the only one Elva can't sense.
No, Elva doesn't know shit about Angela, right?
Biggest eye roll. And she somehow got a pass on that. And of course, she will not share it because she's crazy. Jax, what is going on with her? I do not understand this lady.
I mean, we have evidence about how mad Angela is about the whole Elva situation to begin with. And I think this just like pissed her off even more. She's like, this is just a fucking baby. Why are we doing this? Why is this happening? And now I think Angela sees that for whatever reason, maybe because of her special powers to shield herself from Elva, she's like, I'm the only one who's going to be able to like rein this bitch in. So now I'm going to have to spend my life with the creepy witch baby. Thanks, everybody.
Well, then why doesn't she fix it? Like, I mean, this whole thing is just like, okay, well,
because she can't do magic. I think that's what she's saying. She's like, well, now I'm going to have to fix it. And the only way I know how, teaching someone manners.
I don't know. It's a very weird chapter.
It's definitely wild.
Paolini got the like creep level right on that one.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's definitely the read I got. I'm like, ooh, he is good at making me feel uncomfortable.
Yes. Great.
Yes. But that does take us to the last chapter of this episode, chapter 19, Gifts of Gold. Very excited about it.
You seem more happy about this.
I mean, hard pivot again. So we open this chapter with Eragon and Saphira having just left Niswata's pavilion. Eragon's already had a busy ass morning as Dragon Wizard in Chief, and it sounds like he's still got a full day of errands planned.
Well, I mean, it's dawn.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm just like, get this guy an aesthetic like TikTok account because he knows how to do the full Sunday reset. He's organizing all his straws in his drawer.
He's got containers.
Yeah, so many containers, Dane. He's making all the different shapes of ice. He's doing his reset. So his first job is to magically call traces of gold in the nearby ground to form 3 small balls of pure gold, which is a super dope spell. But apparently it does take a lot out of him again. His just energy level is...
I mean, being rich is just like so hard.
So exhausting.
Just like he has to do all this work.
So he goes and grabs a big lunch to recharge and then sets off to find Horst, Albrecht, and Baldur at their forge. Notice which son I said first. And the little chat they all have is super
right. You can be wrong. You can be wrong every now and then too, Jackie. It's all right.
Their chat is super wholesome. Earlier in this episode, I said you were right, not wrong. You're mean. But the Horsts are the best. Apparently, Horst talked upper management here into letting him set up shop away from the other blacksmiths so he'd be closer to Elaine since her pregnancy's been going so badly. That's just like nice as hell.
Very nice.
Yes, Eragon says he'll look in on Elaine to see if he can do anything to help. And I guess I didn't realize the like bean farmer to OBGYN pipeline was so pronounced here in Alagasia, but like do your thing, I guess, Eragon.
When you handle lagoons, you can handle a baby.
I don't know if I would advise that, but
I popped edamame out of a little like pouch before, like the little bean pods that come in. I could probably handle childbirth, little poppy.
I'm going to have a chat with your wife later.
No, don't tell her that. She'll be very angry.
But they don't get to chat much longer because Eragon is looking for Gedrick, but on an honorable mention to Baldur for bringing up the Razak and their niblets in this chat. It's kind of a wild...
It's wild turn.
Yes, Eragon finds Gedrick to make amends for the hides he stole to make Saphira her first saddle all the way back when he first fled Carvajal.
Yeah.
Gedrick clearly is not hung up about this, and he's even a little like embarrassed at Eragon bringing it up. Eragon's like, weren't you missing some hides? And Gedrick's like, I don't know. I don't even count that stuff.
I guess.
I don't know what inventory is. Like he's trying to be like, we don't have to talk about this, bud. But Eragon insists on giving him an entire ball of solid gold, which I'm positive is more money than either of them have ever seen in their lives, right?
Yeah.
But
it's clear that's what's happened here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Gedrick is a good dude. He points out that like he works hard, but basically his Bush League leather would never be worth this much. And in an attitude we're very familiar with from the Carvajallers, Gedrick bristles at the thought that he's taking any sort of charity. So he's like, this is way too much money, bud.
He's like, I would never see gold.
Yes.
Why would you give me a ball of it?
Yes. Exactly. But Eragon insists, and Gedrick accepts the gold, giving us another absolutely stunning nugget about our original daddy, Uncle Garrow, and the process.
I see what you did, that nugget.
I got you. But Gedrick says this about Garrow. He says, he did right by both you and Roran. He may have been sharp as vinegar and as hard and dry as a winter rutabaga, but he raised the two of you well. He would be proud of you, I think. I'm like, what? Garrow.
It is if we ever talk to Christopher Paolini, it is the first question.
Yes,
it
100%.
Is so,
bar none. Hard and dry as a winter rutabaga, Dane. Insane. This description almost brings Eragon to tears. Like, Eragon's so touched.
He's like, he was hard and dry.
That was my daddy uncle. I loved him so. I'm like, what the fuck? Insane to me, but I will say I kind of love this, like, salt of the earth. Everyone's kind of an asshole, but these are the only truly good people on the planet vibe we're always getting from Carvajal. Like, it's so funny to me.
Great. I love it.
Yes. Eragon also tells Gedrick that the leather he stole did make Saphira's first saddle. So he gives that information to the guy, and the tough old Tanner is so excited. He like dances. He breaks into a spontaneous jig.
I'm guessing that he does like a little like jump hop.
100%.
Neil clip.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So cute.
Yeah.
It's very nice. So I guess I'm on board with Eragon's errands so far. But the next errand brings us to catch up with Jode and Helen, who are apparently still having some marital issues. They've not divorced, but on the rocks, because Helen's still mean as hell.
I'm sorry, I think this is the dynamic they like. Jode likes a mean lady.
For sure. I think this is how they keep it spicy, baby. Jode explains that she was expecting him to be rich and important again as soon as they join the Varden, which also, I'm like, I'm not positive that he didn't lead her to believe that. Like, when they first left, I think he was like, I've helped this organization and like we've lost our fortunes here. Come join me. I love you. And she did. But I don't know if he really set expectations appropriately.
Yeah, this is probably somehow Jode's fault.
I mean,
I'll give it to him. Yeah.
Not all his fault, but
no, I think he likes it that way. I think he likes being in trouble.
I could see it.
Yeah.
So she's just not like super impressed with life in the army thus far. I think is kind of the vibe. I'm like, weird.
Yeah.
That's definitely her fault. It's like, girl, you knew you were going to join a
joining
terrorist organization. What did you think was gonna happen?
It's an active campaign.
Yes.
I don't know.
And after she storms out of the tent for kind of no reason, Jode really opens up to Eragon about their issues. And it's clear, though, as he's talking, he really loves her. And although she for sure seems a little volatile, I guess, and very unfair to Jode in a lot of ways, I can't help but hope these crazy kids make it. He's like, he really loves her.
Yeah, he loves her.
It was nice to read.
Yeah.
But Jode goes on to tell us that Niswada has put him to work using his very particular set of skills, which means he's back on the grind as a scholar and a rogue, trying to find hidden passages in and out of the Empire's major metropolitan areas, like the same thing he did so that they could get the stone from Urobane originally. And I just love a guy who has shirked the pressures of capitalism to pursue his passion project. I think that's nice.
He really is a role model.
Yes, yeah. We've really taken a leaf out of Jode's book here.
Yeah.
But Helen returns with tea for everyone, and she's in a much better mood now. She's cooled off a little bit.
Do you think she's popping like Valiums in the kitchen? Like,
oh no.
She's like got a glass of wine. And she looks a little like dazed.
I mean, she came from an upper crust family in like a mid-sized city. And so like upper middle class lifestyle, marries a rich man, is his housewife, is unhappy in her marriage. Yep. All these things are kind of leading to a certain personality profile for me.
Saying.
I think you might be right.
Does Helen have a bob cut?
I don't think she's a Karen necessarily.
No, she's not a Karen.
No, she's got other problems. I think she's a pill popping housewife a little bit.
She's always in yoga pants.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, definitely tracks with her aesthetic, I think.
Yeah.
So Eragon gets down to the reason for this visit, which is to tell Jode how Brom died. He came to be like, listen, I owe you the full story. I know you guys were friends.
Yeah.
And they share some nice moments reminiscing about Brom, and Jode says the saddest thing to me. So since the Varden apparently didn't want to risk revealing in any way that they had that egg, they never told Jode that his mission was successful. So we already know that Jode thought Brom was dead for 20 years, but he also thought his greatest adventure, the most important thing he'd ever done in his life that killed his best friend and the last rider, he thought it didn't even work.
And that's poor guy.
It's really sad.
Yeah, Jode's story. I like Jode.
I do too.
Because despite that, he's still a chipper guy.
Yeah, he's absolutely a top tier secondary character. He's so cool.
Yeah.
But he also drops that he's been suspicious since Eragon and Brom popped up in his house in Tyrm that something else happened when he and Brom were in Gilead. He is not quite sure what's going on because he can't understand why Brom would cut himself off and hide himself so thoroughly for so long after that. So we might have to raise, I think, the threat level. I'm getting my antenna are going up. We might have to raise the threat level, I think, on Brom Watch 2023.
Let's bring it back.
Yeah, maybe back up to a yellow or an orange. Because I'm with Jode. Something seems sus about this.
We'll get back out on the road, dust off my old badge, put it back on.
I'm getting too old for this shit. One last mission.
Yeah, one last
job.
Yeah.
But Helen actually comforts Jode as he laments the real death of Brom. So I do think she's coming around here.
For sure, drugs. She's for sure on
the
drugs.
only answer could be.
Yeah.
And Eragon decides he and Saphira need to return to Brom's tomb to ward it against any pilferers trying to get at the solid diamond that's encasing him right now. So I think that's probably a good call. Eragon presses Jode for anything he remembers about his encounters with Morzan without trying to do it without revealing that he's asking to learn more about his dad.
Okay.
And we find out that Morzan was kind of a funky brand of hottie, the way Jode describes him. Because he's definitely good looking. He's tall, broad shoulders. He's got black hair, different colored eyes, no beard. He's missing a fingertip, and he's very charismatic. And I'm that is
a lot.
The most mixed bag of all time. I do not know
he was probably
how to make heads or tails of
You know
that.
when someone's so ugly, they're attractive? You go from ugly back to attractive.
It comes back around, especially when you add in the personality and the charisma.
You're there's something exotic.
I don't know. My first read was maybe Jode was he was a little funky looking, but he was really tall, and that's really going to get you.
He limped and drooled a lot.
But you're going to skate for a long time on just being super tall.
Exactly.
It's very funny. But Eragon also asks Jode if he'd ever met Selena, again without revealing that she was his mother, and Jode's reply is a turn for what we've heard so far about Selena. I know you're planning to get into this in your deep dive, but I demand to read a couple of quotes before I move on because the Selena stuff here is amazing. Yeah. Jode says, quote, "It was that woman of his who inspired the most terror in people, and her presence always signaled imminent death, torture, betrayal, or some other horror. She was utterly ruthless, devoid of either pity or compassion."
Oh, no.
So since we're going to catch up on Selena's info dump in a few minutes here, I'll just say that the revelations about his mom send Eragon reeling. Eragon decides he's internally being oh fuck. Yeah. And he kind of comes around and just decides himself that Selena couldn't have been that evil, just entrapped by Morzan somehow and he is thinking this in a self-aware way. He's because I can't believe both of my parents are evil.
Yeah.
So this is clearly what happened because I can't handle it. I wouldn't say it's the most sound thing I've ever heard in terms of logic, but it's an absolute bomb being dropped. So truly whatever helps you sleep at night, Eragon.
He won't be the first guy who's women don't have agency.
No.
He won't be the first man.
Yeah, an easy jump for him to make.
Yeah, he went right to that, didn't he?
Yep. You love to see it.
Oh, our little bean farmer.
Ah, yes. Sweet Kevin is still left with so many questions about Brom here, so it's a good thing Joe jumps to change the subject by giving Eragon a copy of one of the most valuable and rare books in the Empire. He's just like, well, I have a present for you. It's Domia Aber Weirda, which translates to The Dominance of Fate. Fucking metal title for a book.
Yeah.
And what it is a comprehensive history of Alagasia written by a monk, and there aren't many copies left in all of Alagasia. I think we've heard about this book, right?
Yes.
Before
it was mentioned in the first,
Eragon.
in the very first book, Eragon. Yeah.
So it's something like Gal, classic fascist book burning. It's something Gal has banned because it tells the history of what happened.
Yeah, he's like. Never mind. I was going to bring... we don't need to go into that. I was about to talk about book burnings and schools, and this is a fun podcast.
This is a fun podcast, Dane. So Jode advises Eragon to study the roots of the problems he's now embroiled in to seek wisdom and a path forward.
Yeah.
Ugh, love Jode. He stays winning.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yes. At long last, Eragon reveals his other motive for coming to see Jode and Helen, specifically Helen, to repay them for uprooting basically for ruining their lives, to help first Brom and then Roran and the rest of Carbajal. Eragon gives, in payment for this, Eragon gives Helen another of his solid gold balls.
Dope.
He says he wants her to get back into her family business of trading, and Helen seems genuinely stoked to embark on her new life as a war profiteer. Like, she straight up is like, oh, there's nothing better for a trader than war.
Yeah, it's like, what?
I, for one, have some questions, though, about the value of these gold balls. The same size ball bought like a handful of hides from a small town tanner and is also intended to replace the life savings of a prosperous big city merchant.
I mean, well, the tanner did say, I would never make this much. This is insane.
I mean, but even the concept that it would be close seems wild. I just like, either I'm missing something or Eragon has a serious skew in his priorities. Maybe he just really, really loves leather.
I think he loves leather.
Is he a leather daddy?
Is he? I think
a burgeoning leather daddy.
Are we learning something about Eragon
Well,
now?
right now I guess he's a leather baby, but maybe someday he'll be a leather daddy.
Well, this book series really did start with him working with leather, so it would
make sense.
It reminds him of his father.
Oh.
Or like his father figure, rather.
Yeah.
It reminds him of his father figure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of his many daddies.
Yeah.
But Eragon's busy. He doesn't really have time to think over that. I think it's just us making a meal out of the leather situation.
No, we wouldn't do that.
No, weird for us. But because Eragon's busy giving Helen advice about capitalizing on the most desperate of wartime markets. So I guess he's just moving it along.
Yeah.
He's not done on his Oprah's Favorite Things tour of the Varden's camp, though, because he has a gift for Jode as well. He tells Jode, this is the best, he tells Jode that he can ride on Saphira, and the sweet old scholar just cries. He chokes up immediately. It's so nice.
Jode is up there with Oric for me. He's so good.
Just too pure for this world.
He really
Jode.
is.
Too pure for his wife. The war profiteer.
Well, he needs a Helen to like protect him.
Yeah, she's going to be out here just like bootlegging mead to the dwarf. That's the market she's able to capitalize on.
The liquor market.
Yes. Eragon's like, I've heard the dwarves are very desperate for their liquor, so
dude, she's
tip.
She's gonna be rich in like a month.
Yes, dude,
Yeah.
I totally believe that.
He needs her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of all the boss bitches in this book series, I think she is both the bossiest and the bitchiest. Yeah, I'm impressed by her. I like Helen.
I do too. Oddly, I feel a deep attraction to Helen.
Love that journey for you. But we're gonna end this episode's summaries on a cliffhanger of basically no suspense or consequence, because Eragon leaves Jode and Helen to attend to one last mystery errand. Dane. What could it be? And to take his new book back to his tent. So he's still just like running errands,
just walking around.
Yes, but we're gonna call it here.
Yeah, we have to call it somewhere.
Yes, and as much as I hate to make us all wait to find out what this mystery errand could be, it is time to jump into our analysis section.
Yeah,
it's time for analysis.
In this episode's set of chapters, I think there's a pretty pronounced theme of reunions and reconciliation coming up for Eragon. Of course, the very first scene is Eragon's return to the Varden, so, I really dug deep to find this one, Dane. I'm a pretty insightful lady.
Yeah.
We get his reunion with Saphira after their long separation, and it's probably the warmest my cold heart has been so far in this series.
Seriously, we needed this.
Yes, and on top of that, the way Eragon reintegrates with the Varden, milling his way through an adoring crowd and running into everyone he knows, I was really struck by the sense that these are his people. This is his clan, his crowd. I think seeing that hot on the heels of the reunion with Saphira really adds to the emotional weight of Eragon's responsibility for and to the people of this rebellion. You know what I mean?
Yes, totally.
Having them dominoed right together is well, obviously he's the closest he could possibly be to Saphira, and then we get him transitioning straight to all of these kind of strangers, kind of acquaintances, some close friends, and it's this also is his tie, his anchor, you know?
Yeah. This is why he's doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. And the early scenes even touch on the reconciliation point in an unexpected way, I think. The way Oren's anger comes out, just comes out totally random, and Eragon and Niswada are forced to assuage his concerns is meant to put us in the mindset that sometimes when people do get back together, do reunite, we're often going to see them have to reconcile some differences that have built up while they were apart. So I think this reunion is kind of forcing Oren to explode, basically, to let out all of his pent up aggressions in a way that's forcing everybody into this reconciliation.
Yes, for sure.
Yes. And there's no way, obviously, we're not going to talk about the Carvajal surprise party reunion.
So cool.
It's truly one of the sweetest, most wholesome scenes in the entire series. And I really felt like the writing throughout this chapter had almost this warm glow to it. It's suffused with just a warmth, feels like a cozy fire lit candle vibes.
It feels nice.
Yes. I think it's at least a small part of what we both picked up on as positive and comfortable and supportive in the Niswada Eragon relationship. I don't think Christopher Paolini is trying to build romantic tension at all between them necessarily, but having her character so connected to this beautiful scene for Eragon definitely starts to seed that idea for us as readers. I think that's why we're getting that vibe, why we're so fixated on it here. I kind of think Niswada is just drafting on the reunion aura, basically. I mean, she's perfect, so she's not by accident drafting on anything, but the reunion thing definitely helps to set that scene for us in a way. It's meant to just be nice, but we're it's so nice that we want it to be romantic.
Yes. I feel he's also not getting... Eragon doesn't get a lot of warmth from those around him.
Yes.
So when he does get it, it's always oh, that's so nice.
Yes, and I think with warm on warm on warm on warm,
you're this is love.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And again, here, there's no way we're going to talk about reconciliation without Elva in this section. Oof. Like you said in your chapter summary, the vibes in that chapter were perfect for reinforcing the stakes and responsibility Eragon has to reconcile his mistakes.
Yeah.
Everything's always so uncomfortable around Elva, and the attempt at righting this wrong is no different. We're seeing and feeling in the writing the cost of an error too big, essentially, to reconcile. Yeah. And I think in a section that's otherwise just very nice and hopeful, it's a good use of contrast to ground the story and ground Eragon's character in this thing that's just deeply uncomfortable, deeply bad, kind of has no good way out of it.
No, I like that this can't be fixed.
Yes,
he's just ruined her life. There's no way around it.
Yes, and I think it's important to, with all the rest of this surrounding warmth, to remind us the stakes in this world are high.
Yes.
Stakes are impossibly
high. Even when you mean well, even when you're a nice guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the last meandering chapter of this episode, Aaron's chapter, is essentially just a long reconciliation for Eragon to revisit some of his more minor faults from his past, things that can be fixed, essentially. Unlike Elva, these things have mostly simple, straightforward remedies, and I'm left feeling overwhelmingly positive at the end of the section. So even though there's some bad shit sandwiched there in the middle, we get a good, nice reunion sandwich on it.
Yeah, it's nice to go back to some of those characters, and I'm glad he paid the Tanner back, for instance.
Yeah.
That's cool.
A sociopath.
Yeah. Well, yes, he is. Well, this is all part of his game. These are the machinations of a killer.
Oh my God. Insane. But I think here, the set pieces in this section, the plot points that add up to this theme are pretty obvious. Like I said, I'm really digging deep to get this stuff. but I do like that even the writing style in this section is very reflective, I think, and internally focused on the characters. I felt like I kept noticing characters thinking back or flashing back to things that took place earlier in the series or before the events of the series even happened. And it's not just obviously Eragon and Saphira we see with this internal like theme running through.
Yeah.
We also get Roran referencing past events. We get Jode reflecting and referencing a lot of past events when they're chatting in his tent.
The horse and Elaine comes up.
Yeah. I think it really makes sense that Christopher Paolini is flashing back to the past to make the emotional weight of these reconciliations land.
Yeah.
And similar to the last episode's analysis with the bod mods, I think this idea, like flashing back and then flashing forward to these reunions and reconciliations, I think it's another way we're connecting to the overall idea of coming of age here, because these people and mistakes from Eragon's past are highlighting the ways he's grown over the series so far. Like you mentioned with Gedrick, the Tanner, we're seeing him make right. We're seeing him like really go out of his way to be a good and moral person. It's the thing he's the most concerned with in his growth, in his coming of age. And like, we're watching him go through it here. So I'm about it. I love
cool.
it.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you
like
so
that.
much. Are you ready for a deep dive?
Let's do a deep dive. Yeah, this episode's deep dive is all about the mom of our two dragon teens, Selena.
I like dragon teens.
Yeah. First, before we start this deep dive, I have to admit that every time I hear Selena, I think of Selena Gomez. So I guess that makes Morzan a sword-wielding Justin Bieber. But like buff with like two different colored eyes.
Wait, I have thoughts about this.
Okay.
I mean, surprisingly, I'm into Selena Gomez. I have thoughts about this.
Okay.
So by this logic, does that make Brahm the Weekend?
Oh, no.
Or are we all on alert for when Cell starts dating a much older man and that's going to be Brahm?
Wait. Now this has me thinking. Does this make Galbatorix Usher? The fan cast is getting out of hand.
I mean, I would watch that show. I'm just saying. I would watch the fuck out of that. So far we have Selena Gomez, Justin Bieber, The Weeknd, Usher,
Jeb.
I'm about it.
This is amazing. Anyway, now that I've revealed that about myself, let's get into the deep
Way to
dive.
tell on yourself, Dane. I'm proud of you for being open and honest. What's that you called it? Radical candor.
Well,
good for a workplace.
Roran Stronghammer taught me that vulnerability is the best strength of all.
I thought it was hammers. Hammers are the best strength of all.
I did purchase a large amount of hammers.
Shit.
They're on their way.
Oh, shit.
They're heavy.
What day do I leave here?
We get a good timeline of Selena throughout these books, though. The first thing that stands out is how crazy short this timeline is. It's actually really insane, all the things that cover and happen in the 6 short years we get.
Oh, it's only 6 years?
It's only 6 short years. And at the end of 6 years, Selena comes back to Carvajal pregnant with Eragon.
Oh, shit. So from the time she leaves Carvajal
to coming back. So
Damn.
Murtai tells us that Selena and Morzan met in a small village where he was traveling for Galbatorix, and that Morzan showed Selena kindness only as a manipulation to control her after he realized she loved him. Oh. So Morzan's a fuckboy confirmed.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, Selena...
all the worst ones are. The biggest villains of all.
Exactly.
Fuck boys.
Anyway, Selena left with him right away, as ladies tricked by fuckboys often do.
Oh.
So 2 questions. One, this is weird to me. Wouldn't the people of Carvajal have remembered when Morzan visited? Like, it should have come up at least once. Or was this another small village?
I mean, I guess it could have been like those assholes over in Theransford with the mill and Dempton. The Carvajal, like, we know the Carvajalers go over there from time to time.
Roran was going to be a
They
miller
do work
there.
exchange programs.
Yeah. All right, maybe it's just like a Theransfoot thing. I don't know. Weird.
Who's
Okay.
to say?
Yeah. 2, though. Why was Morzan coming to Carvajal or a small village near it anyway? I want to know. Like, this is another question for Paolini. If we chat with him, what was Morzan up to? I just want to know what the activity was.
Yes, knowing Christopher Paolini, he probably has like a fun plot, like mission point. But I think in my headcanon, Morzan's just the kind of fuckboy who likes to go like mingle around the plebes to be like admired and like feared.
Hey, ladies.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting. It's
That's
his
fair.
fuckboy tour of Alagasia.
Anyway, continuing right along, Morzan liked that he had a servant who would not betray him, so he trained her in magic and combat, and she became his Black Hand.
Fun!
Yeah, as the Black Hand, we know she carried messages from Morzan, extracted information from people,
Fun.
and apparently undertook missions for her boo that were too ghastly and secretive for anyone else.
Fun!
Yikes. The way Jode speaks about her, it might be that she was more terrifying than Morzan in her time, which is wild. He tells a story in which she killed 12 of Morzan's best swordsmen with only the magic word for heal and a knife at her disposal.
Yes, when I read that, I was like, no.
Even her identity was so closely guarded that most people only knew her as the Black Hand.
Yeah.
Which is truly metal as fuck. And then Gal's own little spy network clearly couldn't think of anything better, so they also named a Black Hand after her. Overall, Jode paints the picture of a calculating, competent woman with no compassion.
Yeah, interesting turn of events.
Yeah, it's weird. After 3 years of being a terror to the Empire's enemies, Selena and Murtagh were at Morzan's estates. That's where she had him.
Yeah.
After Murtagh was born, Morzan took him away from Selena to keep tight control over her through the weaponization of a human child.
Yeah, that is really horrifying. Definitely made me feel for her there.
Amid that, it seems Selena got right back to work and continued to do Morzan's bidding for another 2 years.
Girl, take your maternity leave.
Yeah, but by the year 3 post-Murtagh, we know that when Morzan left to go search for Saphir's egg, Selena left pregnant with Eragon. Crazier still, Gal went searching for Selena, but his agents never found her because she's the fucking motherfucking Black Hand. And of course they couldn't.
That is pretty badass that like even Galbatorix's like best dudes
couldn't find her.
Are just like, she she evaporated into mist, I think.
So this was our magic mommy, and she sounds ruthless, but she ain't no chump.
Yeah, Carval didn't raise no bitch, Dane.
Yeah, get fucked, Gal. Anyway, we know from Eragon that she ran back home to Garrows and then begged her brother and sister-in-law to take care of her new baby, but only if she, had to leave.
She's like, just hypothetically, if somebody left this newborn baby at your house, you'd take care of him, right? Promise me. Swear it.
Promise.
And they're like, I don't like this.
You don't have to. Anyway, when they agreed, what do you think she did? I'll give you 2 guesses, and one of them is she fucking left Eragon. She arrives back at Morzan's estates before word of Morzan's death hits the Empire, and after a fortnight, she died.
Ooh.
Yeah, so now that we have the timeline, here's a few more pieces about her we learned. Aside from Jode describing the murderous Strixie monster that was the Black Hand. Yeah, we also have Angela mentioning that she gave a woman named Selena a fortune teller.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and it has to be her.
Yeah.
It's just too much Selena talk for it not to be, I think.
Yeah, because Solemnbum chose to talk to Selena, right?
For some reason.
I wonder where they ran into each other.
Yeah, I think it was at Jode's place.
Oh, okay.
Like next to Jode's place.
Oh.
But I could be wrong.
No, that would make sense.
Okay, now I want to look at the timeline of Jode and when he moved there. Anyway, we'll get there later.
Yeah.
Angela didn't give specifics on the reading, but she remembered it was sad, and she said she wouldn't ever forget the look on Selena's face. And I have some guesses on what was so sad in that reading. Maybe 2 dragon rider sons on opposing sides of a war and a death in the near future for her.
Is that sad, Dan?
Seems sad to me.
Really sad.
Yeah, the only other piece here we have is from Brom, who must have also known her when he was spying on Morzan's estates before the egg adventure with Jode.
Yes.
Brom said she was full of dignity and pride like Garrow. Okay, more Garrow slander.
Do you think she was also hard and dry as a winter rutabaga, Dane?
Maybe. Ultimately, it was her downfall, but it was one of her greatest gifts nevertheless. She also helped the poor and the less fortunate, no matter what her situation. Her situation was murder, so I guess she was helpful. So he must have seen a different side of Selena in that time. As he said, he missed her once she had died, so maybe they knew each other directly, maybe not. TBD on that. I don't know.
I mean, also maybe there's the read that, Brom was trying his best to be nice to Eragon when he asked. I don't know.
Yeah, the Black Hand had homeless shelters, so he's like, she helped people.
Yeah. She was full of dignity and pride.
like your daddy, uncle.
Yes, maybe that was him trying to subtly tell, but he's like, I don't want to ruin this kid's life.
Yeah.
He doesn't have parents, so I don't want to make him seem bad.
Seems like he already has mommy issues. I don't want to make him worse. So altogether, we know Eragon and Murtagh's mom was a skilled fighter and dangerous magician that had connections with the most powerful people in Alagasia, and we know that she was so feared as a spy and assassin for Morzan that her code name, Black Hand, was used by Gal, as we went over. So she wasn't a good magic mommy per se, but it seems she may have at least not liked Morzan at the end, having enough good sense to run away to give Eragon to Garrow.
That's true.
And that seems to prove that she at least thought the way Morzan treated Murtagh was not good.
Yes.
So I'm reading between the lines here.
Yeah.
Other than that...
I mean, not too much.
Yeah, I mean,
reasonable.
I'm doing what I can.
Yeah.
I don't have much more on her. I'll update her if we get any more, but she seems like an interesting character, and I'd love to know more about her, so I'm starting Selena Watch 2024.
New year, new watch?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Finally, a watch about a lady.
It was about time.
Yes.
Three seasons seems like enough. So anyway, that's pretty much all I have for Selena.
That's fantasy novels for you, folks.
But for sure, she was a person who went by a secret code name, and who also goes by secret code names often to protect their identity. Haters! It's time for what the haters say.
Have you even read it? That's how you pronounce it.
What are the haters saying?
There is an index in the back, right?
This is a really derivative.
What a transition.
Yeah.
What a pull.
The haters won't be long this time.
Okay.
And I hate to say it, this is one of those times I agree as much as it pains me to admit it. The haters would point out this week that so far in these 19 chapters of Brisingr, Eragon has thought of needing a weapon 6 times.
I didn't notice that at all.
Yeah, this is too many times. It leaves the reader
He
wondering.
really needs a sword.
Yeah. It leaves the reader wondering if the author wants us to think the same thought. And there should be some resolution to it, like getting a new sword. And this is fine, I get. Fine, I guess. A little heavy-handed.
I mean,
and normally would be no problem except for one small issue. So, Paolini wrote in the first book that our main hero was able to master the sword in a mere 6 months. With both his right and left hands, mind you. Eragon was so good at it, in fact, he was able to defeat Braum most of the time when they sparred at night. The same Braum who killed Morzan, the best of the Forsaken.
I guess.
Yes, Eragon was also able to match Murtagh, youth.
An older teen, Dane. An older teen.
Who spent his life learning the sword and loved his swordmaster so much, he named his beautiful warhorse after the guy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Tornak, the horse and the man.
And the man. Well, we're not sure if it was the mentor or was a horse, but here we are.
It's true. Yeah. Always holding out hope.
Yeah. Also, Eragon escaped a sword fight with a shade twice and won one of those times with assistance.
Yes.
But still. So what's the deal, Dane? What's the point? Why are we going on about it? Well, the haters would point out that such a fast learning and skilled athlete shouldn't be daunted by learning what they need to change their style to a non-magical sword.
I mean,
basically, if Eragon is really a savant, then he should be able to adapt to a new situation. And I hear you haters, and I will agree with you with a huge asterisk. I think that most of the things you haters dislike, like this isn't a big issue for me.
Okay.
It's a quirk of the author, I think, who clearly is interested in swords while writing this book, and I'm not bothered with it because we all like swords.
I mean, some of us more than others, but I do think I'm with you there. One of these technicalities, like the dead horses and the distances, that's factually true.
Yeah.
And like, if this isn't the kind of intricate swordcraft you're so innately aware of in your subconscious that it pulls you out of the narrative, like, I respect that would be a problem for you if you're the kind of person who's so just, this doesn't make sense about swords. I just do not have that kind of knowledge base that makes it a problem for me.
Yeah.
Like I want to say, ignorance is bliss, and it makes me love these books.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a problem for me. I think, like, you have to really think about it. I mean, you have to really be holding on to the training montage. Well, first, you have to be a person who's bothered by the training montages, by how quick he learns.
Yes.
I think that's the first thing. Like, I'm already bothered that he's a sword master, right?
Again, which makes sense.
Yeah.
I think for us, generally, this is something we typically agree on. Like our North Star is like, if it pulls you out of the book in a fantasy book, that's a problem. If it pulls you out of the book, sure, hate it, be angry. I think the reason people get so angry is because they're like, otherwise I fucking love this book and this world, but I couldn't stay in it because of these unrealistic things. If you're that kind of person and this is that kind of problem for you, I get it. It just isn't for me.
You heard it here, haters. That's all I got. We squashed that like the Black Hand squashed Morzan's enemies.
Proud of you, Dane.
Right? Wow, what a collection. That just, the last 2 episodes, like this episode and the last episode, feel very like, we're doing a lot of errands. We're meeting a lot of people.
It's a heartwarming witch baby sandwich this episode, and I don't know really how else to
it's a lot
wrap
throwing
it
in
up
here.
than that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, again, like just some of the nicest scenes we get in the series are here in this episode. Like
Harry Potter vibes a little bit.
A little
like
bit,
a little
yeah.
warm parties.
Yeah.
All we were missing was butterbeer.
Well, they might have had some. We don't know. No, they drink alcohol in this book.
They drink Helen's new
it's
brews.
Young adults.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not a children's book.
Yeah.
and yes, and we have war profiteers, so it's definitely not just a children's
We had a lot of weird stuff. War profiteering, curses, Angela slapping Eragon for some reason.
Yes.
Weird people that like show up but don't give their names but want blessings.
But want blessing. Well, they didn't ask for the blessings. Angela did, so.
I mean, they didn't turn it down. They're like, no. Don't ask
Of course. I would like the record to reflect if for whatever reason we find out that blessing went wrong at some point, it's Angela's fault.
No, she'll be mad at Eragon.
There'll be more slapping if that happens.
Well, I think that's it. Are we good?
Yeah.
All right.
I feel great. I'm
Well-
excited to find out what other errand he has to run, Dane. How could you forget about this cliffhanger?
Oh, that's right. Well,
Sorry, dear listeners, we're leaving you on such a tense moment.
if you'd like to come back to Eragon's TikTok, come back next week. And
Back
we'll
to our Sunday to finish our Sunday reset. It's just like those TikToks with a part 1 and a part 2.
Well, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. Make sure to rate and review, especially on Apple Podcasts. Support on Patreon. And check out our social media at Is This Just Fantasy Pod on TikTok or at
Fellow
Just
kids,
Fantasy
we're
Pod.
clearly very immersed in the TikTok culture.
Yes. Or at Just Fantasy Pod on Instagram. If you have any questions or just want to write us about the podcast, we'd love to hear from you. I can send some haters getting out there. Well, I'll use my code name then. And you can email us at Is This Just Fantasy Pod? Sorry. You can find us at the haters got me riled.
Yes.
Is This Just Fantasy Pod at gmail.com.
Perfect. If you want to keep pace and read along with us, on the next episode, we will be covering chapter 20, incredibly titled, I Need a Sword.
How?
Through chapter 24, Whispers in the Night.
Why is he doing this to us?
I mean, six drops so far in the book, and now.
We're just two nerds and we love our fantasy. Come on and listen to us next time. Find out what our deep dive will be. Thanks for catching our show.